Welcome back to our Executive Summit with Reg Pincombe. I'm Duke Worthington, and we're getting ready for the question and answer period. So we'll have our first question come forward, and when you get up here, if you would please, give us your name and then the question, and we'll see what Reg has to offer.
All right. Hi, Reg.
Hello.
I am Beth Langdon, and my question, first of all, I want to make a statement. Every time I hear you speak, I learn something new. And I learned something very valuable, especially for somebody that has kind of broke out of that typical 9 to 5, 30-something years of working, and then kind of broke into being an entrepreneur. So I really appreciate the things that you have to say, and I always learn something from you.
Thank you.
So my big question is, how in the world do you keep 5 businesses under control? I mean, how do you manage all that? Because something I learned when I retired and I got into becoming, an entrepreneur, doing whatever I want to do it all. But it's hard to manage.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you, and I know you've got years of experience with it. So.
Well, how to manage? Okay, so every single business, like I was talking about the mouse that trips the elephant. You have to know the criticals for that particular business. And so, for instance, I could run 90 trucks hauling uranium all over Canada and the US from a phone booth. How do you do that? Okay, so the things that you need to know: how many miles did the trucks run? How many did they run empty? What were our accounts receivable? How long did it take us to collect them? So, and how much money we got in the bank. Okay, as soon as I know that, I know they ran too many empties and not got paid for them. So there's criticals that are in every business, and you have to look at it and you have to say, okay, for instance, in real estate, if you're building, okay, so what was our budget that we started with? How much of it can we put on a loan that we pay off over such and such a time, or are we better put our money in it? So every single business is different. And that's really the key, is getting your head really wrapped around that business and what the criticals are as it relates to that business. That make sense?
It makes sense. I still have a question, though.
Yes.
Kind of
How?
a follow on that. I've known you, about 15 years? I don't think you've aged a bit.
Oh, hey,
But
nutrition,
the reason,
network marketing.
Yeah, the reason why I say that is because you've got to sleep sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to hear a story. About 4 hours, and on the 5th hour, I have to be very quiet when I get out of bed because the rest of the world is still asleep. So if you get a text from me at, like 4:30 or 5, like last night, we drove back from Oklahoma City and got back like 1 in the morning, that kind of thing. But it's just, I think it's a passion to win. And you're just energized with that passion to win.
I love that. Thank you so much for
you're
speaking
welcome.
today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Hey guys, how are you? Doing well.
Good.
Just tell us who you are, your question. Come on up here close to the table.
So my name is Kyle, and this is my first summit to kind of
Oh, wonderful.
observe, and really enjoyed it. Took a lot of notes on my phone. Leadership is something I'm trying to study because as a young whippersnapper, we're usually posed as not being good leaders, and I'm looking to kind of counteract that. My question for you is, what's your advice for someone who's got a company that's in a startup kind of mode? You were talking earlier with the other question about measuring the criticals.
Yes.
But in a startup kind of company that's looking to go at more than just the criticals, because operations aren't like the focus, the growth is, and the, getting investors and getting users, how do you see that as being like a different metric that you're measuring? What's your advice for startups that are not established yet as a company and not worried about those operational criticals?
I think your vision and your passion, because when you look at from an investor standpoint, The first thing I'm looking at, I don't care what your business plan looks like. I'm looking at you. Now, is this person made of what I know it's going to take to win? Your business plan, how you're putting it together, I've got enough experience. I would just look at it and say, okay, this is a pitfall, this is not. I think we need to shore this up, and so on and so on. So I'm looking at you. I'm looking at your desire to win. Because and I'm speaking now to you as an investor, that you're getting your company off the ground, you've got an idea that you feel it will fit in the market. You have to look at, has that market moved by? Everything's a bell curve. And so when you're down at this edge of the bell curve, in fact, I'll just tell you a really quick story. At 12:15 on Black Friday, I was standing in line at Walmart because they had 50-inch TVs on for $149. We just built a 12,000 square foot manufacturing facility, and our security needed these TVs, right? Okay, so I'm standing there in line, and so those TVs right now are selling for $145 or $148. What were they 3 years ago? Like $500, $600. Okay, so there's a bell curve. And you have to look at your business and say, okay, am I on the leading edge? Because where there's risk, there's reward. If there's no risk, there's no reward. Okay, so as an entrepreneur, you look at it and you say, would I put my money in a real safe place in the bank at 3%? Okay, I probably wouldn't. And the reason I wouldn't is because inflation, et cetera, the time you pay the tax, you're going backwards. I'll give you a little rule of thumb. If you retire with $100,000, you will run out of money before 10 years. I don't care how you invest it. That's really based on what I can see in the marketplace. So if you have to stay in the race in order to have the money, or you have to have a pension plan that somebody else is in the race with, and you're able to do it. So going back to your question, how do you do it? The first thing is people are looking at you, and they're investing in you. And you look at it and explain to them where you are on this bell curve and why you believe this is the spot to be. And maybe the spot to be is up here. I don't know. Or maybe you've got a deal that you can buy these, I'll go back to the TVs, maybe you can buy these things in China for $25 and the bell curve for you is over here. And those are the criticals you have to look at in your business. And truly, within the ACA, that's why I'm so passionate about the ACA. There's people here that have done what you're setting out to do. And they're just willing to tell you anything. They're not going to charge you. And that's really, Duke asked me my passion. My passion is to help the world, or help you in your world, whatever. Because I truly believe that God gives us what will flow through us. And if you're standing on an island all by yourself, I'm here to tell you it's a short life. I don't know if that helped.
That does. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Colin, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Peister. I'm the owner of the Cartridge World and Lee Summit. And first off, I want to know, are you on a team in ACA, and how do I get on that team?
Actually, I have to say that I'm not on a team, and most of all because of the commitment of time and travel schedule is really the biggest issue.
But you believe in the team concept?
Oh, totally. Because you got to surround yourself with like-minded people because, again, going back to leverage, you got to be able to share your ideas with others. And so many people, people will bring me stuff that is, they've got a patent on something, and so you sign a non-confidentiality agreement. I got to tell you, they're not worth anything because you can't get it in court anyway. But anyway, just a side note. So Share your idea, because I wouldn't worry about somebody running off with it because they don't have what it takes to make it work anyway. You do. You have that energy. So within your group, and you can belong to more than one group.
Team.
Or one team. Isn't that right?
No.
No, only one team, but
One
you
team,
can-
all groups, yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
be a part of it.
And so within your team, you'll have mentors, people that have been where you want to go, and literally talk to them, sit down with them, and say, okay, so what do you see my criticals are? Instead of you saying, let me tell you what my criticals are. Then say to your group, tell me what you guys think my criticals are. The reason I say that is, you're contaminated with a thought process that got you where you are, okay?
I get it.
They are not. So when you say, okay, here's my business, what do you see my criticals as? You'll be surprised. People will come up with things you never even thought of because they're not contaminated with the thought process that got you where you are.
I love that. Okay, that was my real question. I didn't know you'd have that much to say about that question, but I'm glad. Anyway, my big question was, you said you have been in network marketing for 25 years?
My wife has been for 45, and I've been tagging along for 18.
18 years. Okay, you talked about it being the difference between regular business.
traditional
business. Were you in traditional business mode for a while? And then how did you start helping? Who did you help first? And how did that advance your...
I'm still in traditional business, massively, and Cynthia's in network marketing more massively.
Oh, that's good.
And I think we make a great combination because I'm truly about this over on this side of the equation. Okay, so there's some things in business that aren't all fun. There's some decisions that have to be made as a leader. First of all, if you're going to make everybody happy, you might as well put a clown suit on and go in the parade. That's not going to happen in traditional business. Traditional business is about making the tough decisions. And you're going to hurt some feelings, but you have to be able to make that tough decision based on the entire project. Over here in network marketing, you have a volunteer group. If Joe doesn't want to perform, there's not a lot you can do. You can't fire him. That's a horrible word, but it's a true. If they're not performing, you can't do anything about it. And Cynthia is so good. I learn from her every day because I'm more on the other side. As a crop duster, as I was talking about before, 3 to 6 feet off the ground, 170 miles an hour. If you make a mistake, you die. So I'm all about not making that mistake. So when I see one happening, I need to get it fixed. And so I really well educated from Cynthia. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but.
Okay, but you've helped people. You mean,
Oh,
you
yes.
say you're doing traditional business yourself, and she does the networking.
Yes.
You started helping,
Oh.
right, whenever
From-
you learned about network marketing.
I'm an open book when it comes to traditional business because, again, if I know something that'll help you, it's yours. I'm happy to give it to you because I want to see you succeed. Because when you succeed, then your people succeed, and it's a ripple effect.
And I will say a couple of things to add on to that, Lisa. Reg, part of your leader acronym is about empowering, and he does that wonderfully. And he's also a big part of the leadership team here. So the team that Reg is on with ACA is the leadership team, and he does just what he says about right here, about sharing, empowering, asking questions, finding out where the strengths and weaknesses are of others, and then we get to share back with him too. So he does practice what he preaches.
right,
So
thanks.
thank you for your
Thank you.
question, Lisa.
I know.
Thanks, Reg. Any more questions? Is that going to be it? Brian, no, none today?
It would take me an hour.
Okay. Well, let me just say thank you to you all for the wonderful questions, for the time that you've spent, and the attention you've given us. And Reg, again, what a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.